Yeah, well, I want to shift gears a bit and dive sort of into the overall goaltending landscape. I'm just curious, where you think the biggest shift in goaltending has come in recent years and, where you think we're going in terms of style and play.
Yeah, so that's one of the point I said. Like, I'm reading the game, understand the game. A couple of years ago, I had the chance to go train in Finland, and that's personally when my mentality of the game changed. I went in Finland with probably Justin Goldman from Goalie Guild,
Oh yeah, we know
Mike
we know each other
Valley.
well.
He was training. He was the goalie coach for Dallas at that time. David Alexander was with Syracuse. Now he's with
St.
the
Louis,
Stanley
yeah.
Cup champion St. Louis Blues. We had coaches from Henrik Lundqvist from Sweden. We had guys from
Wow.
Austria. I mean, it was crazy that time, and some we were I think 8 goalies, and guys like Jack Campbell were there. A couple great guys, Josh Robinson, who had a great career in AHL and ECHL as well.
Hmm.
So, and that's when I learned the Euro style. They all they do it. They understand the angles. They understand the play, and the rest you just do it. And I feel that in the NHL right now, it's that. So if you understand, like, okay, so even if you're, I would say, UC Savos, the Finnish goalie for
Hmm.
Nashville, or you're a Ben Bishop, if you understand, okay, you have the size, you have your ability and stuff like that, where you play, what's your system, and I feel that in the recent years, that's where the goalie changed so much.
Hmm.
Before, like let's say in the '90s, it was stop the puck. That's it.
Yeah.
So at late '90s, okay, the butterfly stuff like that come in.
Yeah.
We had a trend about the RVH in the last couple years ago. But
Yeah.
in overall, if you want to get better, it's not only one aspect, but it's about that. It's about like they're playing the angles. They're playing like every goalie now play a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So they all have something that it's not the same for everyone. And for
Hmm.
me, I think that's the adjustment and that's the like the personalization of every training, every style of goalies. So it's
Hmm.
I know your question. You asked me something very precise, and I'm kind of answering with something huge. But that's what I learned in when I went to Finland,
Yeah.
and for me it was huge. And I told the guys, I'm like, listen, guys, if I would know you guys 5 years before, I would be in the NHL because no, to be honest, no, I swear to God, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I know my strength. I know like all I train, I'm focused on the task and everything. But I knew I had something missing as a goalie, and that's why I got beats on rebound and stuff like that.
Mm.
But now to understand the angle and to understand the game, we were talking about Gretzky, like how he was reading the game, and we saw that everywhere. But man, it's not about Gretzky now; it's about all the goalies. They understand their system, and I
Yeah.
saw his stats, and you probably saw it as well. You see Saras, he was like one of the guy with the best save percentage with the
Yeah.
chest
In the
save.
league.
Yeah, exactly. And there was something also about chest save. But like I teach my goalie, if you do a chest save, that means, man, you're like perfectly
In
placed.
position. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all the transition, all the movement you do before, it's so you see Sarah's five. I think on the NHL is like 5'11", but in real life he's like 5'9" and
Oh yeah,
lower.
they always stack them a couple inches, right?
No, but he's so composed in net and like he's controlling all his movement, and that
Yeah.
makes the difference. Why you don't have to always do the split and be there like almost late on the play because it's too small. No, man, he understood that play your angle, understand what's going on, like not only the shot, but there's a guy coming. What's the options? And that's huge for me. That's what I'm working the most with my guys, and that's what I see success when I see them with higher caliber. Man, I'm like, okay, so they control, man. I'm not worried at all for them. So,
Hmm. And I just want to maybe, I think something that I just noticed is you're starting to see a bit of more, and you kind of alluded to it, like in the 90s it was stop the puck, and then the 2000s it was the blocking era, and now it's sort of even the big guys we're moving into more of a hybrid style.
yeah,
and everybody, even the big guys, are starting to implement a bit more of a hybrid style. And what you're seeing is, I'm curious what your take is this wider, more narrow stance, and a lot of neutral stance at the NHL level all the way down now. You're sort of seeing that narrower stance much more. And I'm just curious what your take is on the topic of having a more neutral foot position.
It depends on the goalies,
Yeah.
right? So I remember like a couple years ago, I saw a picture of Price with a narrow stance, and after a picture with him, like he had a better season, and it's all on the skills of the goalie. You have some
Mhm.
goalies that they have so like their quick feet to beat a pass on their feet. They're so quick. So for them, they try to bring their feet together. But
Yeah.
some goalies, like bigger goalies, I felt that more narrow they are, more like their feet are apart, man, it's for them, they don't have the same movement to do as a smaller goalie. And
Mhm.
let's say for a shot, most of the goalie, that's our reflex. We try to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And we go track it, we stop it, we go in butterfly. But when it make a difference, it's when there's a pass, there's a rebound, or there's like a one timer, whatever. That's where it make a huge difference. So I don't want to say okay now the narrow stand is better or the neutral
Yeah.
or I don't have my opinion on that because I will adjust on the strength of the goalie.
Yeah.
I'm a smaller goalie, bigger goalie, a quicker goalie, a guy or you have like more flat foot and he's more good with his hands and you have like different strength. So both of them have their, I would say they have their strength, and both of them can have also their weakness. So
Mhm.
that's my opinion on that. It's depend on, like I said, the style of play of every goalie. So like we saw Price a couple of years ago, he changed a lot. He changed a lot how he play, and that's, I think for me, I think that was huge to bring his feet more together. He's way quicker to go right to left,
Yeah.
and anyway, I don't know what's your opinion on that. I'm curious.
Oh, well, thanks for asking.
No problem. Now I'm the guy who's doing the podcast.
You're running the interview now, eh?
Yeah,
No, I like it when guys ask me too. It makes for good discussion. What I've noticed is, you know, I was always a more, and I like that you touch on the size thing because I do feel like that is a big factor in how narrow your stand should be. Because I always think of this idea of like, how do you frame the net? And if I'm a big guy who's 6'7", like maybe being in a narrower stance, I'm actually covering way above the net. So maybe you want to get a little bit lower than a smaller guy at a different point, right? So framing the net is huge. I think the size matters. What I have noticed is there's guys like even like a Connor Hellebuck, he sort of made that a little more mainstream as that neutral
yeah,
foot, and you see him way more upright. And I just feel like in general, even though the big guys, like from a a small to big aspect, you're seeing a bit more of a neutral foot position. So, like, even bringing your feet together 1 inch can dramatically change your patience, your edges, your ability to get across the net and sort of read the play and stay on your feet as long as possible.
yeah,
And I just think in this day and age, and developing a bit of a, even if you're like, you go down more often, you're big, you still just can't be that butterfly style like guys were in the 2000s in the Giguere era, because you're just the hockey IQ is just exponentially exploded. And so many guys, you see it in the NHL where goalies commit to that slide save on like a dead angle and then they just pass it back door and it's a tap in, right?
yeah,
And you can't worry about every single play, but you do want to preserve. And I think the biggest thing that I want to get across here with talking about the neutral foot position more is, even if you're a big guy and you like being hunched, bringing your feet together 1 inch can just dramatically change, like I said, your patience, your ability to stay on your feet as long as possible. And I think in this day and age, whether you're a big or small guy, you need to be as patient as possible, right? Like even on those, you talked about it on the RVH side, where a bigger guy might be able to drop into that RVH a little bit sooner, but you still want it to be a relatively reactive save selection, right?
Exactly.
And for me on the post, that's sort of what I do. Like everywhere I go is like, okay, I have my system for this play, but it all has to be triggered by something,
Yeah.
right? So when I go into my RVH, I'm not just going into it. My RVH is triggering because the guy's driving the net and I see he's about to drive the cage, right? Or he's about to shoot. That's when I execute that RVH. So um it's a good conversation to have. I just feel like everybody, even the bigger guys, need to develop a bit of a more hybrid style, even if it's just like a 5%. And even with that, with the stance positioning, the feet positioning, if you go too wide, you can get yourself in trouble with being patient. I think in today's day and age, like it's so like patience is so undervalued because you just got to stay on your feet as long as possible, even as a big guy. And you've seen even now, I noticed it in I noticed it the most in Pekarine's game over the last like 3 years. Maybe you can touch on that a bit.
But no, but before that, I'm very happy that you mentioned that about like the framing and Jean-Sebastien Giguere, because it's funny because this year I was coaching Maxime, the son of Jean-Sebastien.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, and Jean-Sebastien was on the ice every Wednesday with me, and it's so funny because I was so grateful for that because
Yeah,
GS was coming on the ice and he was basically placing my puck and giving me passes for the drill. So it for me it was an honor to first of all coach his son, but
yeah,
coach the son of a guy like I admire when I was younger. And
mhm,
for us as a Quebecois like Quebec goalie is
yeah,
he
for
was
sure.
part of man. It's huge. So and with Giga like to you said Pecorine, but that's something we talk a lot, especially with his son. Uh, Frame the net. You have to understand what's the puck's view. So even if you're like really big in net, but your shoulder is way above the bar, all right. So okay. So when are you ready to make those save and stuff like that?
Yeah,
So and the reaction like you said on that passes across, or if you have like the one sometimes the 1 inches will make the difference. And that's I'm happy to you said that because it was in my mind. I just didn't say it in my very good English. But no, to be honest, that's something. And with Pecorine we saw it. We basically signed, and that's a couple of years that I've been watching this guy because for me it's really interesting. His style
yeah,
of play, it's unorthodox. It's man, it's he looked like a big guy. He understand what he's doing, but sometimes I feel that man, how he did that save? How did he move that
yeah.
fast?
He breaks away from that system, right?
Yeah, right. I would never teach like exactly what he just does to one of my goalie because I'm like, okay, so how he does that? He just did that. So
No, I agree. He's probably one of the most interesting goalies that I think I've watched in the NHL evolve with the game,
yeah,
because if you remember years ago, he would come flying out of his crease all the
ah,
time and he'd be flopping around everywhere.
yeah,
And you just notice he brought so much more composure into his game the last few
mm,
years, and patience, and he still has that compete level. But he doesn't need to compete on pucks as often as possible. And you
okay,
alluded to it earlier, where hey, if you're in position, whether you're 5'8" or 6'8",
yeah,
the odds of you stopping the puck are way better, and you don't need to make all these crazy saves. It's
no,
the game gets
exactly,
easy for you.
exactly.
I just want to, before we head off here, I know you started your brand called Living Sisu, and I love what you guys are doing with that. Maybe you can briefly just touch on exactly what that means, what your company's focused on, and why you're so passionate about getting the message out.
Absolutely. So thanks for giving me the time for that. So first
Of
of
course.
all, living Sisu. Sisu, it's a Finnish word. So that's when I went to Finland the first time to the training I was telling you before. Sisu means courage, means determination, inner strength. It's a very strong word. And for me in my career, it was something that I always had. Like, yes, I didn't succeed where I want to go, but for me, I succeed because my determination, my courage was there. I was not
Hmm.
afraid to go out there and to prove myself at the junior major level, at the pro. I went to East Coast camp and stuff like that, so I was not afraid. And the Sisu, it's something that was part of me since I'm young. The Living Sisu project, basically, I'm in hockey full time, and I had the idea like I want to explore the other sports because basically all sports, it's about the same. It's about fun. It's about training. It's about getting better.
Mhm.
So I want to explore those. So I decided, oh, let's start a project in that. So let's fast forward a couple of months or even like year later. I'm like, okay, so what can be that project? And I'm like, okay, during the year, I made a lot of contacts in hockey, but I mean in sports in general. I made a lot of contact in brand, company, like sports company and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
why not helping the others? So with the Living Sisu brand, what we want to do, we want to help you guys help the others to do more sports because we understand what sport can bring you in your life. Yes,
Yeah.
in your health, but also it's a school of life, like we were saying
Absolutely.
with hockey. So that's where the project come from, and now it's cool to have all that. What's our goal? What's our mission? But what we're doing now. So we took the contact that I at first I was alone in that. Took the contact I made in sports and media, and we want to build something that we bring all this together, and we make you enjoy like deals and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
what I call Zach and one of my coaches, Alex, and that's a guy I coached when he was younger. I coached Jack and Alex, and I'm like, hey, listen, guys, this is the project. This is the phase one, phase two, phase three. That's my vision long term. Are you guys
Mhm.
in? Are you guys buying in the planning? And they love it, and especially Zach. He's a guy in his career. We can say he had a lot of high and lows. You
Mhm.
probably talked about it with him in the
Yeah.
junior, with the teams he had. In the pro, what happened, how it goes with the Montreal Canadian and the system and everything. So that's something I want to bring in Living Sisu. All his experience as a goalie, but also all the like mental experience he had to go through.
Yeah.
So Living Sisu right now, it will be an app. It's a web app, so you have access to internet right now. But it will be a Android and iOS app that you will have access to a lot of deals in
Yeah.
sports, wellness, and activities. So it can be you go hiking, climbing, play hockey. You'll have deals for that. So we want to make sports and activity more accessible for everyone. So that's the
Mhm.
first, I will call it the first phase. And then we want to start like by for promoting physical activity, we want to start doing like some events all over the world. Let's start in Quebec, but we already have some plan and some very good stuff that's coming very very soon. But we want to bring people together. We want to talk about our experience together. We want to bring them a bit what we like Zach does as a lived as a pro athlete, or me
Yeah.
as a coach, or even Alex. So basically, that's what Living Sue is all about. It's about
Yeah.
make sport more accessible for everyone and activate your lifestyle. Just start moving,
Yeah.
man. Go take a run. Go take, like you said, go train for 5 minutes. Maybe tomorrow it will be 7 minutes, and then get a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I love what you guys are doing, and that's why I brought it up. And I suggest everybody go follow them on Instagram. When the app comes out, download it. You'll have access to tons of promotions, and it's just a really good initiative. But Olivier, do you have any last words of advice for everyone that you feel passionate about sharing?
Have fun, man. Like to be honest, like the only thing I would tell everyone it's have fun in what you're doing. It's really simple. It's three word, and that means smile. Do what you have to do. Like you're doing your podcast. If you don't have fun doing your podcast, you will stop right away. You're talking with so many great goalie minds. You're having fun. You're still playing the game. Me with Living Sisu, I'm having fun with Paramount Hockey on the ice, our goalie have to have fun. And the secret, like if I have to put one ingredient in the mix, it's consistency.
Hmm.
So even you, your podcast, I'm pretty sure the first podcast you had your mom, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend. That's it. No, but yeah, it's we're laughing, but that's true. And same thing with Paramount
Yeah.
Hockey, with Living Sisu. And then if you just work hard every day on what you're doing, on what you're having fun, man, now you have 10, now you have 100, now you have 1,000, now you have 10,000. That's the
Mhm.
same thing. If you're playing good, you're working hard on the ice, you have 10 fans in the stands are watching you. And then you have 100, and then you have 1,000, and now you're in the Bell
Mhm.
Center playing in front of 21,000 fans. Man, it's
Mhm.
consistency. So
Mhm.
yeah, man, fun and consistency, and I think you'll be good in school, in hockey, in life, and in everything.
Yeah. Well, buddy, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I don't think we had anyone yet really from Eastern Canada other than IQ goalie earlier on the show. I think it was like episode 2. So pleasure to have you on and dive deep in your work with, your school and Living Sisu and provide some perspective to everyone on what it takes to sort of get to the next level. Can you just let my audience know where they can get in touch with you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say on Instagram it's the best. For Paramount Hockey, it's at Paramount Hockey. That's it. So at Paramount Hockey. For Living Sisu, it's living.sisu. And you'll find all the videos, information, Living Sisu for the app. And Paramount Hockey, you'll see some clips. We try to just show like big save and stuff that our goalies are very proud to be on it. So yeah, so at Paramount Hockey and at living.sisu. And I'll be for both. I'll be the one if you guys have any question or any advice, or you were listening to this and you want to chat a bit. So just text one of the other, or it sometimes on Living Sisu it might be Zach who answers, so it will be Zach or me.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, go check out Paramount Hockey and Living Sisu on Instagram. And they've become one of the premier goaltending schools in Canada, and their goaltenders have seen a tremendous amount of success in recent years. Maybe somewhere down the road we'll have you back on the show, man, if that's something that interests you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks a lot, man, for inviting me, and good luck with the rest too. Great, thank you for bringing us the Goalie Act podcast. This is great.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful for you coming on, buddy. You stay safe, take care, and we'll chat soon, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode, guys. If you like what you heard today, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we have tons of amazing guests lined up ready to come onto the show in the next few months. Make sure to tune in next week and every Tuesday from now on at 8 a.m. as I have the guy, the king of gear, coming on the show. And you guys asked when we would do a gear segment, and I've answered with a 2-hour total gear special featuring the famous goalie gear nerd coming on the show next week. So make sure to tune back. You won't want to miss this one. Without further ado, here are the giveaway details for the NeuroTracker X subscriptions we're giving away every week. And to enter the giveaway, if you're an Apple user, simply go to the Apple Podcast app on your phone and leave us a written review and rating. And if you're an Android user, you can also download iTunes onto your computer and leave a review and rating on there as well. And once you leave a review of the podcast, take a screenshot of it and either email it to goaliehacks@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram with your screenshot and your full name. If you guys are also interested in getting started with the product, feel free to hit me up either by email or on Instagram, direct messages to get more details. Get excited, guys. Great things ahead. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I'll see you next week.